The Statue of Liberty is easily one of America's most recognizable monuments. Lady Liberty and the words on her pedestal are synonymous with the land of the free. But it wasn't always that way. Today we're looking at how the world's most iconic monument to freedom made it from concept to reality. The story of the Statue of Liberty begins with Edouard de Laboulaye, a political thinker in France who was particularly interested in the US Constitution. He originally proposed a gift from his nation to America to commemorate their first centennial. Laboulaye thought this gift would be a good symbol of friendship between the two nations, particularly as America's abolition movement had recently come to fruition. Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, a French sculptor who was sympathetic to Laboulaye's proposal, came up with a design he called Liberty Enlightening the World. Bartholdi spent over a year in America searching for the perfect site for his statue and promoting the idea to local politicians. Bartholdi's time in America also led to the creation of other American monuments, including Washington, D.C.'s Bartholdi Fountain. The site he ended up focusing on for the statue was a small island in Upper New York Bay, then known as Bedloe's Island. Bartholdi noticed the ships making the journey to New York had to sail past it, making the perfect spot to exhibit his statue for the world to see. The arm holding the torch was finished first, and it was displayed at the US Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia in 1876, along with the Bartholdi Fountain. The arm was moved to Madison Square Park after the exhibition concluded, where it stayed for several years. 2 years later, the head of the statue was completed for Paris's Universal Exposition. The construction of the rest of the statue starting in 1881 was a colossal undertaking, both structurally and financially. Among those responsible for designing the interior framework of the statue was Gustave Eiffel, who would go on to build a monument for his own country in the form of his famous tower. Fundraising events took place in both countries, with France funding the construction of the statue itself, while the US raised money for the pedestal. 120,000 individual donors were solicited by Joseph Pulitzer, with donations made in exchange for their names printed in his newspaper, The New York World. 19-year-old Theodore Roosevelt was also on the American fundraising committee. President Ulysses S. Grant, on his final day in office, signed a resolution authorizing the US president to select a site for and accept the gift of the statue. America's next president, Rutherford B. Hayes, chose to proceed with Bedloe's Island as Bartholdi suggested. The design of the statue is full of symbolism, from the tablet to the torch. The tablet's inscription of July 4, 1776 showed the concept of liberty as synonymous with the founding of the nation. The broken chains at her feet, largely hidden by her robes, represent freedom from oppression and the nation's recent abolition of slavery. Liberty's torch is perhaps the statue's most important piece, representing the enlightenment that liberty brings, lighting the way toward freedom. The original plan called for floodlights on top of the torch, illuminating it for miles around. This plan was rejected by the Army Corps of Engineers for its potential to blind ship captains, leading to the final design with the lights inside the torch. As iconic as the Statue of Liberty is today, it was a controversial topic in its time. The majority of the fundraising for the pedestal took place during a significant economic downturn, leading to some question whether the funds could be put to better use elsewhere. Lady Liberty's French architect was also faced with some criticism after the hiring of an Italian artist to decorate the Capitol drew scrutiny from certain political groups. Despite these challenges, in July of 1884 the statue was finally finished, in France. Lady Liberty stood proudly over the Parisian skyline awaiting her journey to America. For the trip, the statue was disassembled into 350 pieces and packed onto a steamer for its transatlantic journey. The ship arrived in New York on June 17, 1885, but the pedestal would not be completed until 1886, leaving the hundreds of crates dormant for months. Upon completion of the pedestal, workers began the delicate process of reassembling the statue. The statue's reconstruction was finished in 1886, and an official dedication ceremony was held on October 18th of that year. President Grover Cleveland, who also happened to be a former governor of New York, led the procession to the statue, the event that began New York City's time-honored tradition of ticker-tape parades. Cleveland also gave a speech during the ceremony declaring that the statue's stream of light shall pierce the darkness of ignorance and man's oppression until liberty enlightens the world. The history of the fascinating statue did not end there, however. In 1916, German agents attempting to prevent ammunition from being supplied to England during World War I sabotaged a train loaded with war materials on Black Tom Island, located in what is now Liberty State Park. The explosion was said to be audible as far away as Philadelphia, and the damage to the Statue of Liberty was severe. While the torch was eventually replaced in 1985, visitors have not been able to access it since the attack. The original torch is now on display in the Statue of Liberty Museum, located within the Statue of Liberty National Monument. Despite this attack, Liberty soldiered on, and she still greets visitors and residents alike with every New York sunrise. The Statue of Liberty has without a doubt become one of the most iconic monuments in American history. From her humble beginnings in public fundraising to her prevalence over the New York skyline and eventual national monument status, Liberty can truly have been said to enlighten the world. Thank you for watching RAC Adventures, and we'll see you next time.